Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV coming to you with breaking news. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has reportedly been arrested in New York and is facing federal charges. There you see it right there. Sean Diddy Combs faces federal charges in New York, his lawyer says. Sean Diddy Combs has reportedly been under federal criminal investigation since at least earlier this year. But tonight, multiple reports say he has been arrested in New York. CNN says in a New York hotel, and he is facing federal charges. So we're going to bring you live coverage of this breaking news story here, and we're going to take your comments and questions on the air. You can see here, thanks to our moderators who are here, by the way. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all of our moderators and all of you for joining our coverage. Let's see here. Over on Twitch, we have David Green, Idaho Star, McBritches, Sarah, Papa Bear, and Tariag are moderating over there. Thank you very much for being there and moderating. And hang on a second here. I'm just kind of getting everything set up here because we were just doing a different stream, and I got off of there and came on to this stream. Let me just put one more thing here. Okay, we should be good to go. Oops, here we go. Thanks also to our YouTube moderators, Angel Shark. Hello, Angel Shark, good to see you. She is moderating over on YouTube. Linda Belk and Larry moderate for us over there on X. And also on Facebook, Kay Larry Body, Christina Neal, Raven Lynn, Beth Shepard, Paul Anderson. Thanks to all of our moderators there. Okay, so you can see Associated Press says Sean Diddy Combs faces federal charges in New York, his lawyer said late Monday. Details of the charges weren't immediately announced by prosecutors, but Combs' lawyer Mark Agnifilo issued a statement saying, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." He added that Combs had gone to New York last week in anticipation of the charges being brought. That's interesting. Combs had gone to New York last week and in anticipation of the charges being brought. "He is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal," said his lawyer. "Criminal charges would be a major but not unexpected takedown of one of the most prominent producers and most famous names in the history of hip-hop music." The federal investigation of the 58-year-old Combs was revealed when Homeland Security investigations agents served simultaneous search warrants and raided Combs' mansions in Los Angeles and Miami back on March 25th of this year. Combs' defense attorney Aaron Dyer, the day after the raids, called them a gross use of military-level force, said the allegations were meritless, and said Combs was innocent and will continue to fight to clear his name. Combs, then known as Puff Daddy, was at the center of the East Coast, West Coast hip-hop battles of the 1990s as the partner and producer of the Notorious B.I.G., who was shot and killed in 1997. But like many of those who survived the era, his public image had softened with age into a genteel host of parties in Hollywood and the Hamptons, a fashion-forward businessman, and a doting father who spoiled his kids, some of whom lost their mother in 2018. But a different image began emerging in November when his former protege and girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie, became the first of several people to sue him for sexual abuse, with stories of a steady stream of sex workers in drug-fueled settings where some of those involved were coerced or cajoled into sex. In her November lawsuit, Cassie alleged years of abuse, including beatings and rape. Her suit also alleged Combs engaged in sex trafficking by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions and by engaging in harboring and transportation of plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. It also said he compelled her to help him traffic male sex workers Combs would force Cassie to have sex with while he filmed. The suit was settled the following day, but its reverberations would last far longer. Combs lost lingering allies, supporters, and those reserving judgment when CNN in May of this year aired a leaked video of Combs punching Cassie, kicking her and throwing her on the floor in a hotel hallway. The following day, in his first real acknowledgement of wrongdoing since the stream of allegations began, Combs posted a social media video apologizing, saying, "I was disgusted when I did it, and I'm disgusted now." Cassie's lawsuit was followed by at least a half dozen others in the ensuing months. In February, a music producer filed a lawsuit alleging Combs coerced him to solicit prostitutes and pressured him to have sex with them. Another of Combs' accusers was a woman who said the rap producer raped her 2 decades ago when she was 17. Another woman who filed a lawsuit, April Lampos, said she was a college student in 1994 when she met Combs, and a series of terrifying sexual encounters with Combs and those around him began that lasted for years. Combs and his attorneys denied nearly all of the lawsuit's allegations. While authorities did not publicly say the lawsuits set off the criminal investigation, Dyer, Combs' lawyer, said when the warrants were served that the case was based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. The AP does not typically name people who say they have been sexually abused unless they come forward publicly, as Cassie and Lampros did. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, Combs became one of the most influential hip-hop producers and executives of the past 3 decades, and performer. Along with the Notorious B.I.G., he worked with a slew of top-tier artists, including Mary J. Blige, Usher, Lil Kim, Faith Evans, and 112. Combs' roles in his... I hope I'm pronouncing 112 right now, by the way. Combs' roles in his businesses beyond music, including lucrative private label Spirits, a media company in the Sean John fashion line, took major hints when the allegations arose. The consequences were even greater when the leaked beating video emerged. Howard University cut ties with him, and he returned his key to the city of New York at the request of the mayor. So, Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested. Multiple reports say his lawyer says he is facing federal charges. He was arrested in New York City. The charges themselves have not been revealed yet. We don't have the exact charges yet, at least as of this report. So let me look around and see what else I can find you here. But he is arrested, and again, Combs, according to Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer, Diddy had gone to New York last week in anticipation of the charges being brought. Where is he now? Is he in jail? Let me figure this out. Let me look up some different. Let me get you some more updates here. So hang on a moment here, and I will get you some more updates. Just give me a second. I will let you know what else is being reported here. Hang on one moment. There's some different reports out here. TMZ is reporting that the arrest was scheduled for Tuesday, but something happened that caused the feds to move in a day earlier. How about that? How about that report from TMZ? TMZ says the arrest was supposed to be tomorrow. Okay, hold on a second here. Hang on a moment. Yes, TMZ says the arrest was supposed to be tomorrow, but something happened that caused the feds to move in a day earlier. TMZ reports that Homeland Security arrested him at a Midtown hotel where he was staying. They say they have unconfirmed reports that federal law enforcement is searching his hotel room. TMZ reports that Diddy was taken to the FBI field office in Manhattan. TMZ says it appears this action was taken in connection with the ongoing criminal investigation into alleged sex trafficking and other offenses that led to search warrants being issued and executed at Diddy's homes in Beverly Hills and Miami back in March. There's a report from NBC New York that says He was arrested in New York tonight by federal authorities. The arrest was, NBC New York says he was arrested in the lobby of a hotel. It was not immediately clear what charges he would face, says NBC New York, but the charges are coming from the U.S. Attorney's Office, meaning, according to his lawyer, meaning federal charges will be filed. Will we get some kind of press release tonight or a press conference from the federal authorities? That I do not know. So we're going to give you more information as it comes out. Hey, by the way, a quick thank you to Martin Gingrich, Crime Trial Addict, Asia Sims, iFish808, and Kitty Cat for your support. All right, let's try to get you some more details here about what is going on with this breaking story. The New York Times says the indictment is sealed and the charges were not announced. Hold on a second. New York Times says, the New York Times says a person familiar said Diddy is being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. Okay? That's according to the New York Times. Okay, so that's breaking news. According to the New York Times, they said they talked to a source who tells them that Diddy is being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. That is an update from the New York Times. Federal charges. Federal charges. Hang on a moment here. Just give me one moment. Let's just go back over some of these details for people just joining the stream here. For people just joining the stream. We are talking about music mogul, one of the top stars in history in hip-hop, Sean Diddy Combs. Previously known, I believe, as Puff Daddy and P. Diddy. He has been arrested in New York City tonight at a hotel and is facing federal charges. The New York Times says that he is facing federal charges for racketeering and sex trafficking. They say a source says that. Actually, let me get the red ticker up. Let me just put up the red ticker here. Hang on a moment here. Hang on a moment here. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has reportedly been arrested I think we can say it's been reported. I'm going to just say has been arrested and taken in New York City and is facing federal charges. The New York Times reports that according to a source, Diddy will face federal hold on a second. Racketeering and sex trafficking charges. All right, I'm just putting this on the screen so people coming to this late can see that up there. Okay, hold on. Let me just get it up on the screen. Let me get it up on the screen here. And again, TMZ is reporting that the arrest was supposed to be tomorrow, but something happened that made it so that they needed to take him into custody tonight. A day earlier than they were supposed to. Breaking news, we have a post. We have a post from the U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York. The Southern District of New York has posted about this on their social media. Breaking news. Breaking news. Look at this. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams. Earlier this evening, federal agents arrested Sean Combs based on a sealed indictment filed by the Southern District of New York. We expect to move to unseal the indictment in the morning and will have more to say at this time. So, the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said the indictment would be unsealed in the morning and federal prosecutors will have more to say at that time. There it is. There it is. Look at that. It's confirmed it. He was arrested by federal agents. Wow. I wonder if we'll hear more about it tonight. You know, I wonder, because already the New York Times has a source that's telling them it's racketeering and sex trafficking charges. So, you know, stuff might leak out. Let me check a bunch of different sources and see what I can find here. But that, wow, just that is now confirmed by the U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York. He was arrested by federal agents based on a sealed indictment. So I guess a grand jury has indicted him. And in the morning, they will have more to say. So I assume like the press conference will be tomorrow. There won't be a press conference tonight. Thanks, by the way, to JoJo777 and Athletics for the gift memberships. That's really nice of you. And Kitty Cat for your support. Thank you. All right, hang on a second here. Hold on. Hang on a moment. There's more details in this article. Let's see. So Sean Diddy Combs faces federal charges in New York. His lawyer said late Monday. His lawyer told AP in a statement, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." He said Combs had gone to New York last week in anticipation of the charges being brought. It sounds like they may have worked out an arrest maybe for tomorrow. TMZ says the arrest was supposed to be tomorrow, but it got done a day early. Criminal charges would be a major but not unexpected takedown of one of the most prominent producers and most famous names in the history of hip-hop. The federal investigation of 58-year-old Combs was revealed when Homeland Security investigations agents served simultaneous search warrants and raided Combs' mansions in Los Angeles and Miami on March 25th of this year. Okay? Combs, just a little background on him. Combs, then known as Puff Daddy, was at the center of the East Coast, West Coast hip-hop battles of the 1990s as the partner and producer of the notorious B.I.G., who was shot and killed in 1997, but like many of those who survived the era, his public image had softened with age into a genteel host of parties in Hollywood and the Hamptons, a fashion-forward businessman, and a doting father who spoiled his kids, some of whom lost their mother in 2018. But a different image began emerging in November of last year when his former protege and girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie, became the first of several people to sue him for sexual abuse, with stories of a steady stream of sex workers in drug-fueled settings where some of those involved were coerced or cajoled into sex. In her November lawsuit, Cassie alleged years of abuse, including beatings and rape. Her suit also alleged Combs engaged in sex trafficking by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions, and by engaging in harboring and transportation of the plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. It also said he compelled her to help him traffic male sex workers Combs would force Cassie to have sex with while he filmed. The suit was settled the following day, but its reverberations would last far longer. Combs lost lingering allies, supporters, and those reserving judgment when CNN in May aired a leaked video of him punching Cassie, kicking her, and throwing her on the floor in a hotel hallway. And then skipping down here, in February, Cassie's lawsuit was followed by at least a half dozen others in the ensuing months. In February, a music producer filed a lawsuit against alleging Combs coerced him to solicit prostitutes and pressured him to have sex with them. Another of Combs' accusers was a woman who said the rap producer raped her 2 decades ago when she was 17. Another woman who filed a lawsuit, April Lampos, said she was a college student in 1994 when she met Combs, and a series of terrifying sexual encounters with Combs and those around him began that lasted for years. Combs and his attorneys denied nearly all the lawsuit's allegations. So according to the New York Times talked to a source that said Combs is being charged with federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Okay, let me see if I can get you any updates on this. These are federal charges. Federal charges. Hang on one moment here. I don't know if anyone else is named in the indictment at all. Stone Cold, our viewer, says, well, I can't say this wasn't expected. Kinsley thinks he's never getting out. Annette Cervantes thinks it's just the beginning. Hang on a second. What am I hearing? I'm hearing something. Oh, sorry. I got to turn that volume off. Spirit of Morning, thank you for your support. Spirit of Morning says, if Homeland Security is involved, does that mean it's international versus domestic crime? I don't know the deal with Homeland Security being involved. One of the articles said Homeland Security was involved, right? Was that TMZ? Was it NBC? Yes, TMZ claims that Homeland Security arrested him. I don't know if they would normally be involved in a case like this. It's a good question. I don't know. I have no idea what that might imply, that Homeland Security would be involved in a case like this. Maybe they're normally involved in an arrest like this. I just don't know. Maybe there's international people involved in this. I also don't know. It's this interesting report from TMZ that claims he was supposed to get arrested tomorrow, but something happened that made them move in a day earlier. That's what TMZ says. Something happened that made the feds move in a day earlier. And if you missed it, there's the official announcement from U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York. Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, earlier this evening, federal agents arrested Sean Combs based on a sealed indictment filed by the SDNY. We expect to move to unseal the indictment in the morning and will have more to say at that time. Sandy says his parties were legendary, lots of big celebs. Inhale says flight risk. I don't have details on what's going on with him right now. Well, the TMZ claims he was taken to the FBI field office in Manhattan. Hang on. Let me check some different sources here. Give me a second. Give me a moment here. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to check. Now, Rolling Stone points out that Homeland Security was involved in the raids on his homes in late March. Hold on a second here. A post from 50 minutes ago. CNN reporter Elizabeth Wagmeister said 50 minutes ago, about an hour ago, that he is currently being processed. I don't know if he's still being processed. Let me know if you're hearing anything more. At Lookner on X. Again, the New York Times says that a source tells them he will be facing federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. That is what the New York Times is saying. I'm going to check some of the other New York sources, you know. They might have other updates too. Okay, ABC New York says the charges remain sealed. I think they basically have the AP. They have the AP article posted. That doesn't tell us much. Let's see here. CBS New York has an article. They have very little. Fox 5 New York has an article. Fox 5 points out that Diddy is still facing potential litigation in a handful of civil suits and one criminal lawsuit. I'm trying to get you more information on this. I'm sure in the coming minutes more will come out. That's the sense I get. The New York Times says this arrest makes Diddy the highest profile figure in the music world to face criminal charges for sexual misconduct since R. Kelly, who was sentenced to more than 30 years in prison for child sex crimes, sex trafficking, and racketeering. Now, I'm seeing, I have read 3 articles that give 3 different ages for him. What's the deal with that? What does Wikipedia say his age is? According to Wikipedia, he is 54. Okay. I thought one of the articles said he was 58. Another article said he was 51. The New York Times says he's 54. AP said he was 58. Wikipedia is saying 54. So I'm sorry if I get the age wrong. I literally have seen 3 articles with 3 different ages for him. One incoming says, is this 2024 or 1994? We don't know the exact charges yet because the indictment has not been unsealed, and it's not going to be unsealed till tomorrow. I would assume that tomorrow there'll be a press conference. There might be some kind of document released by the U.S. Attorney's Office with a lot of details. I'm sure we'll get the exact charges tomorrow because it's going to be unsealed, but we may get a lot more details tomorrow. But who knows? You know, stuff could leak tonight. I'm going to keep checking some different outlets here. A lot of times TMZ will get stuff, but TMZ hasn't updated in a little bit. TMZ says it appears this was taken in connection with the ongoing criminal investigation into alleged sex trafficking and other offenses that led to search warrants being executed at Diddy's homes in Beverly Hills and Miami in March. Also, TMZ says a grand jury had been hearing testimony from accusers over the last few months. Meg says he was literally walking the streets of New York on live. Was he doing a live stream? Our viewer Gumib thinks if he is guilty, other musicians and people will go down with him. Again, right now, there's no reporting on... The indictment is sealed, so we don't know what the indictment says, what the charges are. We also don't know if anybody else is facing charges in this investigation. We just don't know. So, you know, nothing official until the morning, but it's very possible that stuff will start leaking out tonight. So the New York Post says he was arrested at a New York City hotel, like a number of other reports say. The New York Post claims he was taken into custody at the Park Hyatt Hotel by Homeland Security investigations, which typically handles sex trafficking probes. Again, I want to repeat that. The New York Post says that he was taken into custody at the Park Hyatt in New York City by Homeland Security investigations, which typically handles sex trafficking probes. The New York Post says he will be arraigned at Manhattan Federal Court tomorrow morning. Am I right in that in New York there's no cameras in the courtroom? Because I know, like, when Trump had his hearings in New York federal court. Oh, this is federal court. This is not New York State. Sorry. This is federal court. So I don't believe there are cameras in federal courtrooms. So I don't believe there will be a camera in the courtroom when he makes his hearing. But according to the New York Post, he'll be appearing in a court tomorrow morning, at which point the indictment will be unsealed. But it's not unheard of. I feel, I might be wrong. I feel like sometimes these things leak out. Yeah, a bunch of our viewers are saying cameras are not allowed. Will there be a mugshot? Will there be a mugshot released? Maybe tomorrow? Maybe tonight? I don't know. Who knows what kind of stuff leaks out? Yes. The United States Court's website says electronic media coverage of criminal proceedings in federal courts has been expressly prohibited under Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 53 since the criminal rules were adopted in 1946. I don't believe there's been any big update to that. And then there's a Reuters article here from 2021 that says Broadcasting and photographing criminal proceedings in federal courts is prohibited under the Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure. A few federal courts and district courts and circuit courts allow recordings under certain limited circumstances. So I would not expect any kind of in-court coverage of him tomorrow. The AP updated their article. Let's see if they have anything more in here. Sean Diddy Combs faces federal charges in New York, his lawyer says. He has been arrested by Homeland Security, say multiple reports. He faces federal charges. Details of the charges weren't immediately announced. His lawyer issued a statement saying, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." Diddy had gone to New York last week in anticipation of the charges being brought. Anything new in here? Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we've been reading through this. I don't see anything big in here that's new. Let me know if you're hearing anything new. If I get any live video or anything tonight, I'll certainly show it to you. I don't have any right now to show you. I don't even know, is he sitting, is there any chance they would let him out on bail? Or is he just going to be in court? Like, first of all, will he just be in custody now until the court hearing? Will he be allowed to, will there be some kind of hearing where it's determined whether he'll be able to leave on bail or not? Will they consider him a flight risk, perhaps, prosecutors? Jesse's Girl says flight risk. This I do not know. I believe prosecutors maybe might have the chance to argue that he's a flight risk, but I think there might. I'm not a legal expert, as I'm sure you can tell, but I know sometimes there's like a hearing where the prosecution will have to say, well, we think he should stay in custody and have no bail offered because of X, Y, and Z. So I don't know. Maybe that is yet to be determined. Sarah Lee Johnson thinks he will be in custody till his hearing. Banky Bruce said, now I haven't seen this. Banky Bruce wrote to me and said that Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said that he had a source in Homeland Security that told him Diddy would get arrested in September by Labor Day. Well, it's after Labor Day, but still. So I can't confirm. I didn't see that video, but thank you for writing in, Banky Bruce. One Eye says, sounds like he's been flipped. He's talking. Well, the thing is, though, like, I haven't heard any reporting that there's some bigger fish being investigated. So, I mean, I have no idea what the investigation is, but the reporting so far has suggested that he's been the main target of the investigation. So it would not, if that's the case, then there's nobody bigger they'd be looking to get with his cooperation. I haven't heard anything about that. But I am interested in knowing, are any other, this has been an ongoing investigation. Is there anybody else who's going to get charged? All right, I'm looking around, trying to get you more updates here. I also don't know exactly like what the New York Times says, a source. Oh, the New York Times now has a quote from Combs's lawyer. The New York Times now says Combs's lawyer says he believed that Diddy is being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. Wow. So they're quoting Combs. Diddy's lawyer is saying that. So before they were just saying like a person close to the matter. Now maybe they just updated that to add his name, but I think it's significant that they are saying that that's coming from Diddy's lawyer. They say Mark Agnifilo, a lawyer for Mr. Combs, said he believed he was being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. That seems like a pretty good source. Now, I don't know specifically, again, I am not a legal expert, what U.S. federal racketeering law is. Is this it? Wikipedia says the Racketeer, this is RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, is a U.S. federal law that provides for extended criminal penalties and a civil cause of action for acts performed as part of an ongoing criminal organization. Does racketeering relate to this law? I don't know. I have no idea. RICO, some people are saying this is RICO charges. This is RICO here from Wikipedia. So it says this law was signed into law by Richard Nixon and the prosecutors in the 70s used it to prosecute the mafia as well as others who were actively engaged in organized crime. In later years, prosecutors have applied the law more broadly. So a lot of our viewers think that federal racketeering charges mean that it would be related to this RICO Act. A federal law that provides for extended criminal penalties and a civil cause of action for acts performed as part of an ongoing criminal organization. Under RICO, a person who has committed at least 2 acts of racketeering activity drawn from a list of 35 crimes within a 10-year period can be charged with racketeering if such acts are related in one of 4 specified ways to an enterprise. I'm not going to get all into the details of this. There's a bunch of specifics here. But I can say that it says it provides for extended criminal penalties. And then I also don't know what is meant by if they charge him with federal sex trafficking. Okay, so this is the U.S. Department of Justice website. Sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, in which the person induced to perform such act has not attained 18 years of age. Oh. Really? So sex trafficking requires that the person induced to perform the act has not attained 18 years of age? Am I reading that right? Am I reading that right? That's what it sounds like. I don't know. Again, I'm just reading this. This is literally the U.S. Department of Justice website on human trafficking. But it says sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which, nope, I read it wrong. You got to be careful here. It's in which the commercial sex act is induced by force or fraud or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform the sex act has not attained 18 years of age. So the point is, it can be induced by force or induced by fraud or induced by coercion, or the person cannot be 18 yet. It doesn't have to be all those things. It's that or. So it doesn't have to involve somebody below 18 years of age as long as the act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion. Sorry, I'm covering up some of this. But just to be clear, that's the definition given of sex trafficking on the Department of Justice website. I am not a legal expert. I would have to imagine that if he is being charged with federal racketeering and sex trafficking crimes, that those would carry significant penalties. But I am not a legal expert, and I don't want to start opining on legal stuff I know nothing about. Maybe I will find some stuff online about with updates about that. So just to update you guys with this breaking news here. Sean Diddy Combs, one of the most well-known names in hip-hop music history, has been arrested in New York and faces federal charges. According to the New York Times, his lawyer said he is facing federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York confirmed he has been arrested. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said earlier this evening federal agents arrested Sean Combs based on a sealed indictment filed by the Southern District of New York. We expect to move to unseal the indictment in the morning, and we'll have more to say at that time. So it looks like some sort of press conference might be coming tomorrow morning. The indictment will be unsealed tomorrow morning when we'll definitely know what he's being charged with, but stuff could leak out earlier. We don't know how many charges. We don't know the exact nature of the charges. But this is apparently related to the same investigation that resulted in his homes being searched by Homeland Security investigators in March. Wow. All right, I'm going to take some more comments from you. Just trying to bring you the latest updates here. See what else I can find for you. And you can write to me on X, at Lookner on X. Let me read you a little about what... I just saw another report here. Hang on a moment. Give me one moment here. Oopsie. That's not what I wanted to do. Hang on. Hang on here. What did I just do here? Okay. Okay, so the Washington Post is reporting Sean Diddy Combs was arrested on a federal indictment in New York on Monday. They don't have... the Washington Post says that the arrest of Diddy, this is from the Washington Post, they say the arrest of Diddy comes months after the first of 8 sexual assault lawsuits was filed against Combs last year and follows a Department of Homeland Security raid on his mansions in Los Angeles and Miami in March. At the time, Homeland Security did not publicly confirm the nature of the operation, but a law enforcement official, speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss an ongoing investigation, told the Washington Post that the searches in March were part of a sex trafficking investigation. The first of 8 sexual assault lawsuits was filed against Diddy in November 2023 by Cassie, who dated Combs for 11 years between 2007 and 2018 when she was a singer signed to his Bad Boy record label. Her lawsuit accused Combs of more than a decade of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking, including an incident at a Los Angeles hotel where she claimed Combs beat her and paid hotel staff to obtain the security footage. Cassie and Combs settled that lawsuit for an undisclosed amount a day after it was filed last November, with Combs maintaining his innocence. Months later, I believe in May, surveillance footage obtained by CNN showed Combs assaulting Cassie in 2016 at the Intercontinental Los Angeles Century City Hotel. The video clips showed Combs pursuing her down a hallway, throwing her to the floor as she tried to call an elevator, and dragging her off camera. Asia Sims, our viewer, thinks there will be a twist to this. Did TMZ update it all? Let's see here. Okay, TMZ reports. I think one of our viewers were referring to this. I don't know. TMZ says just a couple hours before Diddy was arrested, he was confidently strolling around NYC with his son King Combs. He even stopped to greet some fans and take selfies. Now, the AP article says that according to Combs' lawyer, Combs had gone to New York last week in anticipation of the charges being brought. So it sounds like he knew he was going to get charged. But TMZ reports he was supposed to get arrested tomorrow and not today. And something happened so that the feds moved in earlier. But they say that even a couple hours before he was arrested, he was strolling around New York City with his son. I don't know if his son knew that the arrest was coming. I'm going to actually post that up. See, hold on a second. Hang on one moment here. What did he do? Well, we don't have the indictment is still sealed, but his lawyer told the New York Times he's being charged with racketeering and sex crimes, racketeering and sex trafficking. I'm going to read a little bit, and maybe, might be related to some of the stuff in the lawsuits against him. Bill Smith says, pictures of him walking around earlier on TMZ. Thanks to Spirit of Mourning for your support, and Lucas, Layla, and George. Also, I want to give a shout out to our moderators who are in our chat rooms as we bring you the latest updates here. Ruth Krafasi is moderating. Thank you, Ruth. Over on YouTube, Charm Accents as well. Angel Shark, Linda Belk, and Larry on X. Thank you for moderating. Also, our Twitch moderators, such as David Green, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Papa Bear, and Tariag. Also, thanks to Relila for the bits on Twitch and Wolfman for the bits. Thank you. And Haas McKayfabe, thanks for your support on Twitch. Also, Device X, thanks for your support on Twitch. And Root and Samantha, thanks for your support on Twitch. And also, I want to thank our Facebook moderators like Kay Larry Body, Raven Riley, Paul Anderson, Christina Neal, Ronald Egnor. Thanks to all of our moderators over there. And any I might be missing, thank you for moderating. Let's for people who are not aware of the backstory here, let me just read a little of this backstory here. In November of last year, Combs' former protege and girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie, became the first of several people to sue him for sexual abuse, with stories of a steady stream of sex workers in drug-fueled settings where some of those involved were coerced or cajoled into sex. In her November lawsuit, Cassie alleged years of abuse by Combs, including beatings and rape. Her suit also alleged Combs engaged in sex trafficking by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions and by engaging in harboring and transportation of plaintiff, that would be her, for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. I think force, fraud, and coercion are the three words mentioned here. Look, in the Department of Justice website definition of sex trafficking, you can see it says, sex trafficking is a recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purpose of the Commercial Sex Act, in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such an act has not attained 18 years of age. Anyways, back to that AP article. They say the lawsuit by Cassie, who dated him for years, also said he compelled her to help him traffic male sex workers. Combs would force Cassie to have sex with while he filmed. That suit was settled the following day, but in May of this year, CNN aired a leaked video of Diddy punching Cassie, kicking her, and throwing her on the floor in a hotel hallway. In February, a music producer filed a lawsuit alleging Combs coerced him to solicit prostitutes and pressured him to have sex with them. Another of Combs' accusers was a woman who said Combs raped her 2 decades ago when she was 17. Another woman who filed a lawsuit, April Lampros, said she was a college student in 1994 when she met Combs in a series of terrifying sexual encounters with Combs and those around him that lasted for years. And then also there was that, it mentions it here, the March raids. Yes, the federal investigation of Combs was revealed when Homeland Security investigations agents served simultaneous search warrants and raided his mansions in Los Angeles and Miami on March 25th. So he has been accused of these kind of things by multiple people. But we will have to wait until the morning to get the exact charges unless something leaks. The indictment will be unsealed tomorrow. I would expect a press conference. I mean, this is like a huge, this will be a big story, getting a lot of attention from people around the world. I would be surprised if the U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York, does not have a press conference tomorrow. I mean, they do regularly will have press conferences on big cases. Danny Love, our viewer, thinks he knew it was coming. He has connections. He is a predatory person. He'll be happy in jail, Danny Love thinks. If he's in jail, I don't know that he'll be happy about that. Let's see here. I've heard nothing about anybody else getting arrested. I've heard nothing about any other arrests tonight except for Diddy. If I hear any reliable source saying that, I will certainly let you know. Will Shipp sent me a video, which I don't have the rights to, that somebody says was him taking pictures of fans a couple hours before he was arrested. Joe Soul says, do we expect his court date soon? Reportedly, he will appear in court in the morning. FOFA mentioned that the New York Times says that in the Me Too movement and its aftermath, prosecutors have increasingly turned to sex trafficking laws to try sexual assault accusations in the federal court system. And the first conviction of R. Kelly was on charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. Also, they point out that Homeland Security investigations, says the New York Times, often investigates sex trafficking investigations, and they were leading this investigation into Diddy. They said the mother of one of Diddy's sons shared footage of agents pointing guns at Justin and Christian Combs while they were being detained inside Diddy's home. The Times also says that since March, federal prosecutors have been silently subpoenaing witnesses as they have built their case. And the New York Times also says that last year Combs was coming off a swirl of positive publicity when these allegations began. Thank you to Mr. Blanks-a-lot for your support. Thank you, Mr. Blanks-a-lot. All right, we're trying to get you more updates here about this breaking news. Diddy in federal custody facing federal charges, according to his lawyer, says the New York Times, facing federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Breaking news, NBC New York says U.S. Attorney Damian Williams was expected to hold a press conference at 11:30 a.m. Tuesday. That is a news update for you. According to NBC New York, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams will hold a press conference. He's expected to hold a press conference at 11:30 a.m. On Tuesday. Okay? Hang on, let me get that posted. So again, NBC New York is saying 11:30 a.m. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams will be holding a press conference on this arrest. Oh, I have an update. I have an update for you. Breaking news from NBC New York. More breaking news from NBC New York, guys. Maybe other charges for Diddy. Let me read you this. Breaking news. The NBC New York reports, breaking news, NBC New York says Combs is scheduled to appear in court in Lower Manhattan on charges that appear to be in relation to... Oh, I'm sorry. This is not big news. There was a couple words I misread. I thought they were saying the charges were all about this. They say the charges appear to be in relation to allegations of sex trafficking, sexual assault, and the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms. I thought they were saying that they had definitely charged him with those things. What they're saying is, so you could take this different ways. They're saying the charges appear to be in relation to allegations of sex trafficking, sexual assault, and the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms. So the New York Times report said that his lawyer said he's going to be charged with sex trafficking and racketeering. The NBC New York article suggests that there could possibly be illegal narcotics and firearms charges. I don't know. When I first read it, I thought they were saying that's what he's being charged with. But they're saying that the charges appear to be in relation to those allegations. So we'll have to see if there's any kind of illegal narcotics or firearms charges. My bad. I read it and I just misread it, and that's my fault. But the New York Times article says his lawyer says he's going to be charged for racketeering and sex trafficking. I thought there was already reporting that there was going to be other charges. Again, I should post here. NBC New York reports the U.S. Attorney will hold a press conference at 11:30 a.m. Tuesday. All right, give me a shout if you have comments, questions. If you're hearing anything new, we're bringing you the latest updates here. Let me check and see if I have anything new for you here. Oops. We are covering the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs in New York, facing federal charges. Our viewer, hold on, Justin D says, I remember back in 1997 in New York, the rumors were spreading took them long enough. Boss Money says they came after him a day early, wonder why. TMZ is reporting he was supposed to be arrested tomorrow and something happened to make the feds move in a day early. I don't know what that might have been, if that is true. The NBC New York also says that that I believe this is that so those searches happened of his at properties of his, at homes of his. Homeland Security investigators searched multiple properties of his in March of this year, and NBC New York says that, and some of you probably know this, Homeland Security officials seized phones from him in Miami before he was scheduled to leave on a trip to the Bahamas. And he was in the Miami area when the authorities executed the warrants. Dolores Wilson says, who else is involved? We do not know if anyone else is facing charges. $5.86 Smoker says, going to learn more in the morning after he makes bail. I do not know if he will be allowed to pay bail and get out. Thank you, Junk Chain, for your support. I really appreciate it. The New York Times says at the time of the March raids on Diddy's homes, a federal official said the inquiry was at least in part a human trafficking investigation. And also the Times reports that at that time, prosecutors had interviewed a number of witnesses about sexual misconduct allegations. Thank you, Brian Beelman, for your support. I really appreciate that, Brian Beelman. The Times also points out that for decades, Diddy has been trailed by accusations of violence. Also, like, how many, what are the minimum sentences for the charges he's facing? We talked about this before. Some of our viewers think that if he's charged with racketeering, that means that racketeering would be RICO, which, as Wikipedia says, is a United States federal law that provides for extended criminal penalties in a civil cause of action for acts performed as a part of an ongoing criminal organization. And Wikipedia also says that racketeering can mean any criminal scheme or operation with ongoing or reoccurring profit as defined in the 1970 U.S. RICO Act, which aimed to curtail the power of the mafia and other organized crime. The definition of the term racket has been expanded over time, says Wikipedia, and may now be used less strictly to refer to any continuous or repeated illegal organized crime operation. Anyways, I'm not a legal expert. John Ferguson says if they use RICO, who else is going down? It has to be more than one person. This I don't know if that's true. They would have to. I don't know if they would have to charge more than one person. Realistic Skate, our viewer, says if the feds charge you, they have a solid case. They don't charge unless they know who will win. Well, they would certainly not charge unless they thought. I mean, first of all, they have to get a grand jury to indict. So they would have to have evidence enough for a grand jury to indict. What is the... what is the actual... for evidence for a grand jury, you have to... What is it? Is it probable cause that they have to agree that there's probable cause a crime was committed? I don't even remember. Danette thinks the grand jury evidence bar is low. I'd like to find it here. I can't. I wish I was more of a legal expert for you guys. Basically, they have to show they have enough evidence again for these crimes to a grand jury. But I don't know what the definition of enough is for a federal grand jury. TCal thinks if feds brought a case, there's no chance for Diddy. Nicole Hammett thinks it's probable cause. It was 11:45. I'm just trying to find you more information here. Trying to get you some more reporting here. More details. We still don't know the exact charges. Are we really going to wait until tomorrow, or is it is it going to be leaked out? New York Post says he was taken into custody at the Park Hyatt. They said that they don't know what he's being charged with. So definitely we'll know by tomorrow. Yeah, I anticipate covering this tomorrow. Are more arrests coming, says Robin Bishop Willard. I haven't heard anything. I just don't know. We just don't know right now. We just do not know. Reuters has an article posted. Let's see what they have to say about this. Sean Diddy Combs arrested after grand jury indictment. That's a short article. They'll probably have a longer article. Diddy was arrested in Manhattan by federal agents on Monday evening based on a sealed indictment. His lawyer told Reuters, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." Yes, the lawyer says he voluntarily, oh, it's a little longer article. Diddy had voluntarily come to New York in anticipation of the charges. Combs has faced several allegations of sexual assault. Last week, singer Dawn Richard filed a lawsuit accusing Combs of sexual assault, battery, sex trafficking, gender discrimination, and fraud in the Southern District of New York. Combs denies the allegations. Also, in the same month, Combs was ordered to pay $100 million in a different sexual assault lawsuit to Derek Lee Smith, who accused Combs of drugging and sexually assaulting him at a party almost 30 years ago. An attorney for Combs said the rapper would move to have the judgment dismissed. R&B vocalist Cassandra Ventura sued Combs in 2023, accusing him of serial physical abuse, sexual slavery, and rape during a 10-year professional and romantic relationship. She agreed to an undisclosed settlement in November 2023, and Combs strongly denied the allegations. Combs is one of the most influential producers and executives in hip-hop and a hugely successful performer. TPM thinks that Combs was going to flee. I haven't heard any reporting that he was going to flee, but who knows? Again, the indictment will be unsealed in the morning. Rita says maybe one of the victims didn't feel safe. Didn't want to be done like Tupac and Biggie. Bonnie says he was probably having his plane fueled. I have not heard of any reporting saying he was planning on leaving, but who knows? GGG thinks bail won't be set because he's a flight risk. Some people ask me to do a poll question. I will do a poll question. I'm not a legal expert. It's possible if a legal expert were hosting, they would not do this poll because they would know maybe there's something that would make it so that this poll only clearly has one right answer. But the question I'm going to ask is, will Diddy be allowed to get out on bail? I have no idea if this is something where it's like, oh, definitely yes or definitely no if you were a legal expert. But I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know. So I'm going to post that poll question on YouTube and Twitch because people like when I post polls. And I'll post that one. Even though, again, a legal expert might be here, and if they were here, might say like, well, that's just really stupid that you would ask that. The Fremp says, with a RICO charge, no way. All right, I'm looking. I'm going to show you what you guys say. Betty R says, I believe he's a flight risk even with a monitor. Some people are saying you can't get bail for federal charges. Is that true? So you have to sit there the entire time in jail? Even if your trial is months ahead? That seems strange to me. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm reading Guest and Gray website, who says they're criminal defense lawyers. They say there's no bail or bond for federal cases, but there is a release program. Okay, so you can get released you can get released, but it's not bail or bond, I guess. Okay, I'm going to have to re-ask the question then. That's what it looks like. I'm seeing multiple websites that say in federal cases, there's no bail or bond, but you can get released early. All right. Well, anyways, I should end the poll. I should ask the question again. I'm going to ask the question again, but a different way. Will Diddy be allowed to be released before his trial takes place? How's that? Thanks to the viewers for mentioning that about the bail. I can't ask it on Twitch yet because Twitch hasn't ended the current poll. Let's see here. All right, here's what YouTube says about whether Diddy will be allowed to be released before his trial by the authorities? Or will he just sit in custody the whole time, waiting for his trial? Our viewers on YouTube say 45% say they think he will be allowed to be released before his trial take place, and 55% say no. Again, I am not a legal expert, so I have no idea. Ronan says, depends on what federal prosecutors argue tomorrow, flight risk and all. Twitch, I can't ask you yet because it still has the other poll posted. Sorry. Mr. Showtime says Celebrity Law says he'll be freed. You guys are pretty split on this over on YouTube. Crazy Mike says he'll get a detention hearing. Maybe there'll be a separate hearing. Number 5 says monitored from his home. Bunker Bluster says released under conditions. Fox Hill says we have seen federal judges let people just as bad or with just as bad charges, do you mean? If not worse, out pre-trial. I mean, for all I know, his trial could be months away. Maybe the trial will be months and months away. Maybe there'll be like legal stuff that has to take place before the trial, like appeals and stuff. I don't know. Nicole Hammett thinks he will get a detention hearing and be released with conditions of pretrial release. Connor Murphy says maybe house arrest. Hey, it got to 50-50 on YouTube. All right, I'm going to end that poll. 50-50, 51-49. Thanks for voting in the poll. All right, do we have any more updates here? Possibly any more updates on this? Again, NBC New York says a press conference is expected at 11:30 a.m. Ooh, AP updated their article. We should look at this. Let's look at the updated AP article. See what they updated with. Adds background on past Combs arrests. Yes, 11:30 Eastern time. All right, let's add a little more. Let's get a little more perspective here on all this. So, Sean Diddy Combs, one of the biggest names in hip hop music history. All right. So let's read over some of this from Associated Press. Sean Diddy Combs, the hip-hop mogul who has faced a stream of allegations by women accusing him of sexual assault, was arrested today, late today, this evening in New York after he was indicted by a federal grand jury. The indictment was sealed, and details of the charges weren't immediately announced, but the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, Damian Williams, confirmed in a statement federal agents had Combs in custody, and the indictment will be unsealed tomorrow morning. And he said, we will have more to say at that time. According to the New York Times, by the way, Diddy's lawyer said he's expected Diddy to be charged with sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Combs was arrested in a Manhattan hotel lobby. There you go. I've seen that report elsewhere too. Combs was arrested in a Manhattan hotel lobby, according to a person familiar with the arrest who spoke with the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, said Combs had been cooperating with the investigation and had relocated to New York last week in anticipation of charges being brought. The lawyer said, we are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. His lawyer described Diddy as a music icon and a, quote, loving family man. He is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal, said his lawyer, adding, please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are facts of an innocent man with nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. Remember, he is innocent until proven guilty under the U.S. justice system. He gets his chance to have a trial and to defend himself in court. The criminal charges are, we do not know what the charges exactly are and what the evidence is yet. The criminal charges are a major but not unexpected takedown of one of the most prominent producers and most famous names in the history of hip-hop. The federal investigation of Combs, this says 58. Other articles says he's 54. So he's 54. The federal investigation was revealed when Homeland Security investigations agents served simultaneous search warrants and raided Combs' mansions in Los Angeles and Miami on March 25th. A day after the raids, his attorney called them a gross use of military-level force and said the allegations were meritless. Combs, then known as Puff Daddy, says AP, was at the center of the East Coast, West Coast hip-hop battles of the 1990s as the partner and producer of the Notorious B.I.G., who was shot and killed in 1997. But like many of those who survived the era, his public image had softened with age into a genteel host of parties in Hollywood and the Hamptons, a fashion-forward businessman, and a doting father who spoiled his kids, some of whom lost their mother in 2018. But a different image, says AP, a different image began emerging in November of last year, less than a year ago, when his former protege and girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie, became the first of several people to sue him for sexual abuse, with stories of a steady stream of sex workers in drug-fueled settings where some of those involved were coerced or cajoled into sex. In her November lawsuit, Cassie alleged years of abuse, including beatings and rape. Her suit also alleged Combs engaged in sex trafficking by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions and by engaging in harboring and transportation of plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. The lawsuit also said he compelled her to help him traffic male sex workers Combs would force Cassie to have sex with while he filmed. The suit was settled the following day, but its reverberations would last far longer. Combs lost lingering allies, supporters, and those reserving judgment when CNN in May aired a leaked video of him punching Cassie, kicking her, and throwing her on the floor in a hotel hallway. Okay. AP says the next day, in his first real acknowledgement of wrongdoing since the stream of allegations began, Combs posted a social media video apologizing, saying, "I was disgusted when I did it, and I'm disgusted now." Cassie's lawsuit was followed by at least a half dozen others in the ensuing months. For example, in February, a music producer filed a lawsuit alleging Combs coerced him to solicit prostitutes and pressured him to have sex with them. Another of Combs' accusers was a woman who said Combs raped her 2 decades ago when she was 17. Another woman who filed the lawsuit, April Lampros, said she was a college student in 1994 when she met Combs, and a series of terrifying sexual encounters with Combs and those around him began that lasted for years. Combs and his attorneys denied nearly all of the lawsuit's allegations. While authorities did not publicly say that the lawsuit set off the criminal investigation, Combs' lawyer Dyer said that when the warrants were served, that the case was based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. Okay, then some background here. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, Combs became one of the most influential hip-hop producers and executives of the past 3 decades. Along with Notorious B.I.G., he worked with a slew of top-tier artists, including Mary J. Blige, Usher, Lil Kim, Faith Evans, and 112. Combs' roles in his businesses beyond music, including lucrative private label Spirits, a media company in the Sean John fashion line, took major hits when the allegations arose. Combs has faced various arrests before, and decades ago, he was at the center of one of the biggest hip-hop industry trials of its era. The trial stemmed from a Manhattan nightclub shooting that injured 3 people in 1999. His then girlfriend, singer and actor Jennifer Lopez, was also there when the shots rang out. Combs ultimately was acquitted of charges that he took an illegal gun into the club and tried to bribe his driver to take the fall for the weapon. His then protege, Shine, was convicted of assault and other charges in the shooting and served about 8 years in prison. Now going by Moses Barrow, he's a member of the House of Representatives in his native Belize. Also in 1999, Combs was arrested on a charge of beating up a record executive in New York. Combs pleaded guilty to harassment, which is a violation, was sentenced to an anger management class. Anyways, I wanted to just go through that article. Normally I don't read a whole article like that, but I thought it was good background for the topic. So these allegations really started last November, and he has faced at least I think more than a half dozen lawsuits, according to the articles we've seen since then. Isn't that what this said? Yes. Cassie's lawsuit was followed by at least a half dozen others in the ensuing months. Thanks to What Plants Crave for your support on Twitch. I forgot, by the way, I'll give Twitch a chance to answer that poll question I asked YouTube before, which is, will Diddy get a pre-trial release? I have no idea. Yes, as I mentioned, the NBC New York is claiming that there will be a press conference at 11:30 a.m. I don't think that's an official announcement, though, but that is what NBC New York said. I'll be interested to see what legal experts say. You know, when we see the charges, it'll be interesting to see how many charges there are. What are their minimum penalties? Right? I don't know what the minimum penalties for these charges are, and what kind of time he might be facing, and maybe other penalties as well. And now, where is he right now? Like, I assume he's being held in some facility right now. I don't know exactly where. Rita says he's probably been booked in holding. Yeah, I assume he's in custody, but I don't know like what facility he's at specifically. You know, I don't know that they'd want to like keep him with other people because he's so famous, you know. Also, maybe there's, you know, he's only going to be, I mean, his hearing is supposed to be in the morning, so it's just hours away. Teresa McGinn says, certainly not as plush as the Park Hyatt. One of the articles I read said that he had, I think it was the New York Post, said he had been staying in the Park Hyatt. Is this the Park Hyatt right here? I don't know. I think this is it, the Park Hyatt. I have a map here. Let me show you the on Google Maps. The Park Hyatt is on West 57th Street, near Central Park. And Google Maps says that this is the Park Hyatt. I've never stayed there. I don't know if it's all the Park Hyatt. Maybe some of it's condos or something. I don't know. Will we be able to see the indictment? Well, it's going to be unsealed. I assume there'll be some sort of document released tomorrow. I would not be surprised if there's a charging document released tomorrow by the federal government, by the prosecutors, that lists the different charges. And it doesn't necessarily give all the evidence, but it'll be like, they can go into more or less detail, but frequently with federal charges in prominent cases, they will release like a PDF document which explains the charges and gives you some sense of, the evidence and the specifics behind the different charges. So I would not be surprised. I can't guarantee we'll get that tomorrow, but I would not at all be surprised if we get that tomorrow. Don Finlaw says he used to do licenses and bail bonds in California, and he thinks it's unlikely the judge will set bail for him. Well, we figured out that there's no bail for federal charges, but there's possible pre-trial release. So Don Finlaw thinks that prosecutors will argue that he could retaliate against victims. Don Finlaw, our viewer, thinks he could get like house arrest, ankle monitor kind of thing. But again, my understanding is that from reading some websites is that there was no federal bail. Federal Public Defender, Western District of Pennsylvania. Well, see, this says something different, though. This says bail in the federal system is very different than bail in the state system. This says there is this says there is federal bail. So maybe there is. I saw some sites that were claiming there were no federal bail. This court from Federal Public Defender of Western District of Pennsylvania says if the prosecutor asks for a person, it implies there can be bail. There is no fixed bail amount in federal court. I don't know what to believe now. Oh, well, it wouldn't be different for each state because it's federal. Now I'm really confused. Generally, there is no fixed bail amount. Generally, it depends on the seriousness of the case and your Fed financial circumstances. So, according to that site, there is federal bail. Hey, I never claimed to be a legal expert. You know what? I think I know what happened. I think I know what happened. I think maybe when I saw, when I read like no bail schedule, I was thinking there's no bail at all, when they just meant there's no typical bail or no mandated bail. That's probably where I got confused. All right, so I apologize. Some of you were probably yelling at me in the chat saying you're wrong about that. Some people said there's no federal bail, and from my quick read, I thought there was no federal bail. But it looks like there is federal bail. Now, this is an article, though, from 1993 that says the majority of districts no longer use bail bonds. The rest of the federal courts are urged to eliminate the use of bail bonds. So I don't even know. I don't even know, like, in New York, in the Southern District of New York, what is the usual bail? How do they usually handle bail there? Maybe it is different in different places. All right, well, I'm sorry. I should have caught that before. That's my fault. That's my fault, guys. I was just wrong about that before. Well, anyways. Okay, I'll take a few more comments here. Thanks to T-Sky. T-Sky says, if he abused J-Lo, I really hope she comes forward. With her power and position, that could really help other victims who are afraid to speak out. I can't speak to that at all. I have no idea what their relationship was like. Thank you to T-Sky for your support. And Mr. Blanks a lot, thank you. And Go Niners. Thank you, Go Niners, as well. Marie thinks he doesn't have any bail money because all his assets are going to the victims. Don Finlaw says that there is a federal bail schedule set usually by each circuit based upon the crime, and they're going to take into account that there are victims. That's what Don says, our viewer. Hold on a second here. Let me just see if I have any updates here. Last thing, let me just see if there's any updates, because we're going to be covering this in the morning, I'm sure. So I don't want to stay on too late if there's not going to be any big updates here. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time, guys. I'm not seeing at the moment like any big leaks of the charges or anything. So maybe they're really not going to come out until the morning. They're not going to officially come out until the morning, I'll tell you that. By the way, the New York Times says Diddy was arrested by Homeland Security Investigations Officers around 8:30 p.m. at the Park Hyatt Hotel where he was staying. It is expected he will be held overnight and then arraigned in the morning. That's according to the New York Times says it's expected he'll be held overnight and arraigned in the morning. He'll have his hearing in the morning. So again, Diddy's lawyers told the New York Times he thinks Diddy's being charged with federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Stack says, I bet there are at least 10 charges. I don't know how many charges. Lori Nance says, Homeland Security arrest is a big deal. By the way, so yeah, I'm guessing we'll cover that press conference tomorrow, which supposedly is going to be at 11:30. But if you want to know when we go live, subscribe and follow the channel. We cover all kinds of live breaking news here without an agenda, agenda-free TV. But also, we have a notification system where you can sign up for it. It's free, and then you get sent a notification every time we go live, because I can't tell you in advance most of the time when we're going live. It's when breaking news happens. So the mods can post the link to the notifications in the chat. You can sign up for the notifications. Those are free. You can also find the link in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook. But we'll have to see if he gets, released before his trial. How many charges will there be? What exactly are there? What are the minimum penalties he's facing? Is anyone else charged? Is he going to make a statement tomorrow? Okay. So I think I'm going to do a last check here and just make sure I don't have any other big updates. If there's some huge update, I can always do another stream. But I think the big stuff will come tomorrow. He's in custody now. I want to check one more thing here. Oh, I have an updated article. I know some of you left. Hang on, I have one more article I want to check. The Washington Post had made some updates to their article. The Washington Post says he was arrested in a hotel lobby in Manhattan and he remains in federal custody tonight. Okay? The Washington Post says that the arrest comes months after the first of 8 sexual assault lawsuits filed against Combs last year and follows raids by the Department of Homeland Security on his mansions in Los Angeles and Miami in March. The agency did not publicly confirm the nature of that operation at the time, but a law enforcement official told the Washington Post the searches were part of a sex trafficking investigation. The first lawsuit he faced was last November by Cassie, who dated him between 2007 and 2018 when she was a singer signed to his Bad Boy record label, says the Washington Post. Her lawsuit accused him of more than a decade of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking, including an incident at a Los Angeles hotel where she claimed Combs beat her and paid hotel staff to obtain the security footage. That lawsuit was settled for a day after it was filed, with Combs maintaining his innocence. Months later, surveillance footage obtained by CNN showed Combs assaulting Cassie in 2016 at the Intercontinental Los Angeles Century City Hotel. The video clips showed Combs pursuing her down a hallway, throwing her to the floor as she tried to call an elevator, and dragging her off camera. Reports had circulated in July, says the Washington Post, that a federal grand jury in New York was weighing evidence against Diddy. By that time, 8 people had accused him of sexually assaulting or trafficking them. The allegations spanned the length of his career, with several women accusing him of raping and drugging them in the 1990s. 4 people, including Cassie, have also alleged that Combs engaged in sex trafficking. Rodney Jones, a producer who worked with Combs on his most recent album, alleged that Combs was trafficking sex workers as recently as 2023. Liza Gardner accused Combs and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall of raping her in 1990. Joy Dickerson-Neal alleged that Combs drugged and raped her in 1991. Crystal McKinney, a former model, accused Combs of drugging and raping her during New York Fashion Week in 2003. In another suit, April Lampros alleged that Combs had raped her multiple times between 1995 and 2000 when she was a fashion student. A lawsuit filed last December claimed that Combs and others in 2003 trafficked and raped a 17-year-old identified in court filings as Jane Doe. In February, Jones, the producer who worked with Combs on his 2023 project, The Love Album, accused Combs and others of sexual assault as well as drug and sex trafficking. Lawsuits have been filed against Combs as recently as last week, says the Washington Post. Dawn Richard of Danity Kane, a girl group formed by Combs, filed a suit on September 10th, accusing him of sexual and physical abuse. The complaint alleges Combs was abusive throughout the 8 years he and Richard worked together. Richard accused him of groping her, threatening her, and subjecting her to inhumane working conditions, such as depriving Richard and her bandmates of food and sleep for up to 48 hours because he was high on drugs. In the suit, Richard also claims to have witnessed Combs become physically violent with other women, including Cassie, whose legal name is Cassandra Ventura, and Kim Porter, his former partners. In a statement provided by Combs' attorney, he denied what he called a series of false claims and accused Richard of seeking a payday. Anyways, that's an update from the Washington Post there. Okay. Distant INC thinks he'll get life in prison. Don't know what he's being charged with at this point. I mean, his lawyer told the New York Times sex trafficking and racketeering. Miss T says no way he is making bail. Chris Goodman says the House of Cards is going to collapse. John Attard says when there's smoke, there's fire. Thank you to Nicole Hammett for your support, and Alaska as well. Thank you. Jason Vincent thinks he's going to have to forfeit all earnings gained during the RICO. And if you're wondering what sex trafficking is, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, sex trafficking, human trafficking in general, is a crime involving the exploitation of a person for labor, services, or commercial sex. Sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act. That's like, what it's paid for, in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such act has not attained 18 years of age. I think commercial means business in this context, but I'm not sure. There's probably some legal definition of the word commercial. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to start parsing all of this language. But that's the definition given by on the page, on the Justice Department page. I have seen nothing about his son being arrested from any kind of reliable source. All right, guys. The time on the article was 3:52 GMT. GMT is 4 hours ahead of Eastern time. Guys, I think that's time. I think it's time because I anticipate covering this tomorrow. We should get a lot more information tomorrow. All right, guys. So, again, I anticipate covering the press conference tomorrow. Suppose it'll be at 11:30 a.m. I'll have to see. I will post updates on my X account, which is @Lookner on X. You can follow me there for breaking news updates @Lookner on X. @Lookner. I really appreciate you joining the stream and being here for this coverage, breaking news coverage, and your comments in the chat. and letting me read them. And also, I apologize for my lack of legal knowledge. I appreciate you trying to help me with that. Sorry for the legal mistakes, any legal mistakes I made. I don't claim to be an expert. I do the best I can. And, oh, hold on a second here. Let me look at something here. Let me look at something real quick. Let me look at something real quick before I get off the air. Hold on. Let me see if I can listen to what somebody says. Hold on. I'm looking at something. I'm looking at what Ellie Honig, who's a legal analyst, said on TV. He says, we know it's a federal case, not a state case. Okay, we knew that. Southern District of New York. I think this, yeah, we know that now. I think he was talking about this early. He says the Southern District of New York specializes in high-stakes cases. A grand jury indicted him. We heard that. Meaning they found probable cause he committed at least one federal crime. That's what Ellie Honig said. Arraignment. Yes, so he says, will the prosecutors allow him to be let out on bail? Right. So Ellie Honig, who's a legal analyst, he said on TV that there's this question of will the prosecutors, try to argue that he should not be let out on bail or not, and that could be a contentious debate, whether he will be let out on bail or be given the chance to. So that is something that's TBD. Okay, I just wanted to see what he had said. All right. Ed Juthomp says he is a flight risk. We'll have to see what happens with that. All right. Hey, really appreciate you being here for the coverage. Anticipate doing more coverage of this in the morning. And I want to thank our moderators for being here. You guys are awesome. 2 streams in a row tonight. Ruth Krafasi, One Way Street. Thanks for being there over there on YouTube. Angel Shark and all of our YouTube moderators. Charm Accents as well. Thank you. Linda Belk and Larry on X. Our Twitch mods like Daily Disclosure, Idaho Star, and I Got That Fire. And our Facebook mods. Kay Larry, Body, Margaret Riley, Ronald Egnor, Christina Neal, Paul Anderson, and Beth. My brain isn't working. What is Beth's last name? I'm sorry, Beth. I'm just forgetting. Somebody will say it in the chat. My brain stopped working. It just stopped working. It's drawing a blank. Thanks to you for watching. Thanks to everybody who donated too. That's really nice of you guys. I really appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the channel. That is what allows this channel to exist. So big thanks to you. I think I thanked everybody. Hopefully. Oh, Beth Shepard. Thanks, Beth Shepard. Thank you for modding. Thanks. So again, thanks to everybody who donated. It's really nice of you. If you ever want to donate to the channel, you go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. Thanks for letting this channel exist with your support. Also, thanks for the bits to Blatt1982 on Twitch. Thanks, Blatt1982, and Ascertainment as well. Thanks for your support on Twitch. What was I going to say? Subscribe and follow the channel. I will post updates on my S account at Lookner, and sign up for the free notifications so you get notified when we go live. The mods will post the link to the notifications in the chat. Thank you, mods. And also at the same link, we have a Discord chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. A lot of our viewers like doing that chat. It's at the same link as the notifications. Check it out. And thanks to our Discord mods as well. A reminder here, if you do watch us on YouTube and you want to turn the YouTube notifications on, which can be a good way of finding out when we're going live as well, what you need to do to put the YouTube notifications on is you need to subscribe and then click the bell and then choose all notifications. So if you're subscribed, make sure you click the bell and choose all notifications over there on YouTube. Let's see here. Also, hey, I always post our programming updates on X, on Agenda Free TV on X, right there. If you want to get programming updates, like when we're going live and stuff like that, and schedule changes, at Agenda Free TV on X. Also, big thanks to our Twitch subscribers for supporting the channel, like Ascertainment and Blat1982, thank you. And Wall Street and Shaggy, and Jack's Animals, What Plants Crave. Thanks to all the subscribers on Twitch. I appreciate it. And all of our other ones over there. Our Facebook subscribers, like Eve Richards, Robert Real II, Kay Larry Body, Margaret Riley, Jane Summers, Marie Minicello. Thanks to our subscribers over on Facebook. Thank you for your support. And also our YouTube members like Misconstrue and He Is Risen, Turned Off, Catch 22, Go Niners, Stacks, Star, Morgan LaFay, Stephanie, Mama of Six, Batman, Nicole Hammett, thanks for being members on YouTube, Salmon, Star, Linda Cosma, Stacks, Ronald Kame, Cherry Cola, Go Niners, AW, Fuzzball Factory, and all of our other Bebop and Rocksteady, AW, and all of our other YouTube members as well. Thank you. Thanks to our other viewers like Fujirari, Jay, and Clips 000. Thank you. Polar Cat says, can you put the title of the stream and the title of the early notification? Well, the early notification on Twitch has the subject of the stream. It should. That's how I type it in, Polar Cat. What do you mean? Do you mean like on Discord? I don't know what the Discord one is saying. But I'd have to check the Discord notification. But if you check our X account, for example, it always has the title of the stream. The YouTube has the title of the stream should be posted beforehand on X, on YouTube. And if you're on Twitch, I don't know if you can see it beforehand, but I change it beforehand. Anyways. Talk to the Twitch mods about it. They can message me if there's something I can do to help out with that. That's the first time I've seen that. Oh, the Polar Cat says when I received the Discord notification, only said it's an early notification. That's interesting. I'll have to ask the Discord mods about that. Hold on a second here. All right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. Thanks again for watching. More coverage coming soon. And I anticipate us covering the press conference in the morning. All right, guys, thank you for watching. We have been bringing you live coverage of the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs in New York City, facing federal charges. We'll hear in the morning what exactly the charges are. That is it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.